Should I call you Paul or Sir Paul?
Paul.
I wasn't sure. You know, I'm
No,
an
thank you,
American,
Diane.
so
It's
I don't
very
know about
nice.
these
You
things.
know.
You've been vegetarian for 40 more years, right?
Long time, yeah.
Yeah, and not just one day a week, but 24/7.
Yeah.
How has that affected your life?
I love it, you know, and I get mates, you know, and people say, don't you miss your sausages and stuff? And
Well, do you?
don't.
Oh,
No,
you don't. Okay.
You don't. There's so much good vegetarian food these days anyway, that you've got more than enough. My original thing, which still is at the core of why I'm a vegetarian, was compassion. You know, I was brought up, you're taught this idea of being compassionate towards children, animals. St. Francis of Assisi was in my sort of books growing up as a kid. And I always liked this picture with him with sort of animals and birds all over him. I thought, I like him, because it seemed very calm and compassionate.
I just saw your campaign. I just saw a video of the campaign.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things I think is so interesting about it is you're just asking for one day a week.
Mm.
Why did you decide to just do one day a week?
I think, you know, if you say to people, I'm a vegetarian, I think it's great, I've been this way for 40 years, now you should be a vegetarian, it's too much for them to take in. It means they've got to change their whole lifestyle. So what we find is if you say to people, well, try one day, they can do that, and they're kind of willing to do that. And then some people go, oh, this is good, or maybe I'll do 2 days. So I think things like that, I don't think you can approach with a sledgehammer. You've got to kind of just keep it gentle, you know.
Well, sometimes, you know, I see environmentalists with messages and it sounds like moralistic scolding, and I don't know that it's terribly effective.
That's what I mean. Yeah. You know, you have to realize when you leave the room, they're going to go, oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
they're going
like,
to talk about
that.
you, you know, not necessarily in great terms. So I try and keep it something that I would have understood and I would have accepted before I was vegetarian. So years ago, Linda and I were on a farm, and we had sheep, and they'd had lambs, and it's the most beautiful time of the lamb's life. They're sort of full of spirit and full of energy, and we happened to be eating leg of lamb. We weren't vegetarian, and so when we made the connection, we said, you know what, should we try and not do this? So we did, and never looked back. But it basically was sort of out of compassion for these lambs who'd just been born, were in the first month of their lives, and were shortly to have it ended. It was like, it doesn't seem right.
So I noticed in the new video about the Meatless Mondays, it's more about an environmental message, though, rather than an animal welfare message. Right, yeah. So do you think that message will resonate more with more people?
I think it's this new angle.
Okay.
You know, I think I started with compassion, and then you ask me, how's it changed my life? I think health. I think, you know, I feel very healthy, and I do shows like 3 hours long, and I don't feel knackered at the end of it. You know, I still feel strong. So I think that's been one of the things. But then more recently, people have started to draw this comparison between greenhouse gases and just basically too much livestock on Earth. It wouldn't be so bad if it was just 1 or 2 on a farm. But when there's billions, the way we now do it, it has a big effect on the atmosphere. And there was, in 2006, there was a report that came out from the United Nations called Livestock's Long Shadow that I read. It explained that livestock were responsible for more greenhouse gases than transport, which I thought it was airplanes, trucks, cars. I thought that was the big culprit. But when this fact came out, I thought, whoa, you know, that's important. It's quite amazing.
Well, that is.
And you don't think about it. But then when you start to think, wait a minute, some of the fast food people, their prevalence in the world, and the amount of cattle needed to feed that worldwide craving is huge.
So do you think that there will be receptivity to this message? I mean, a lot of people don't have any problem with eating meat. They just think that's
right.
what we do, that's how we grew up.
Yeah, well, I was that.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I was, till in my case, I saw the lambs and made the connection. But yeah, I was brought up traditionally Northern English. You just eat what's put in front of you.
On Fridays, did you have meat? I mean, in the United States, most of the schools, most of the public schools didn't serve meat on Fridays.
That's right.
Because there were so many kids who were Catholic.
Yeah.
And so that was the fish day.
We did fish.
Did you do that too?
Yeah, at school we had fish, yeah. Didn't like it.
But now we've changed to Mondays instead.
Well, now it's neither fish nor meat on Monday. Right. Yeah. I mean, like I say, you know, for me, the bottom line is we're on this incredible planet. And there doesn't appear to be another one within sight. Somehow it seems that we are this miraculous little planet, and we're on it, this human race. And alongside us, these little dudes, these animals. And we've all got this chance in life to sort of survive. And so I like the idea of giving them their best shot. So, you know, that's the idea for me, is just, it's a life, and I don't see why I shouldn't allow that animal to have that life when I don't need to take it. I mean, I used to do a bit of fishing, and I remember catching a fish once and hauling him in and just seeing him kind of struggling for life. And I thought, oh yeah, okay, you know, that's where you live, under the water. Now I'm pulling you out into this alien atmosphere.
So what did you do?
Put him back. But that was the last time I fished, because I suppose I'm a bit conscious of that now, particularly. Whereas when I grew up, you never thought of it as meat. It was just some stuff that arrived from a supermarket.
Right.
And didn't look like an animal until my mom one day served tongue. Oh. Which looked like a whacking great tongue on the plate. It was like, ah! Me and my brother
and
went,
you said, no way.
No, not touching that. I said, no, it's very good for you. You know, no, it's a tongue. You know, so, but generally speaking, you didn't make that connection because it all came wrapped and
packaged and sliced. And exactly.
So I think that's, you know, how most people are.
But now you brought up your daughters very differently, and I know even in their businesses today, you know, your daughter Stella McCartney, I know she doesn't use any animal products in those clothes.
Yeah, she's great. My kids are great, and they have always been vegetarian with the option that if they wanted to change, they could.
And they never
wanted to, and they bring up their kids now.
Vegetarian also.
Yeah, so the whole family is, and, you know, nobody seems to be suffering.
No.
It seems to be very good for us. But Stella is particularly good. But she won't use leather. Right. And that was amazing because her first job, and she was just very steadfast. She just said to them, you know, if you want me to take this job, I'm not going to be using leather. And then she went to the factories in Italy and talked to the women there, particularly, who made all this, and said, have you got any good substitutes? They said, oh yeah, you know, we've got this and this and this and this. So she started to make shoes.
Mm-hmm. Are you wearing leather shoes?
Yeah, these are Stella's actually. No, these are Stella's.
These are okay.
These are my fake blue suede shoes.
They're very handsome. I think there's a tension a little bit sometimes, though, between we're able to say we're not going to eat meat a day a week or not eat meat at all. Yeah. You know, in a lot of parts of the world, though, there are people for whom raising livestock is their livelihood, and that in parts of the world, even having one pig or one goat or one cow is sort of the road out of poverty. How do you balance this?
But I don't think that's the problem. I think the mass production is where the big problem starts to come in, where certain companies have billions of animals, not just one pig, billions of pigs, often cramped in little, you know, really cruel conditions. So all that comes into play. And, you know, I say to people that what happens is, like me, I was brought up by my mom, who's a nurse, a midwife, and my dad was a cotton salesman. just ordinary people in Liverpool, and we just ate ordinary food, just the same as everyone in our street. But when I reached a certain age, I made a change. I just thought, you know what, maybe this isn't what I want to do. I've got the free will to do something else. So I encourage people. I say it's actually quite fun when you look at what you do, what you eat, how you live, and think, is this how I'm going to do it the rest of my life? Or would it be kind of interesting just to try making a change? And I think a lot of people do that these days, particularly.
So do you cook? Are you a cook?
I cook a little bit.
Yeah. Do you? What are some of your favorite meals?
I will do vegetables, maybe mashed potatoes and salad and stuff. I can do a nifty omelette. I mean, but I'm not a really good cook.
Well, I think for a lot of people, they think vegetarian, oh, that means I have to eat tofu all the time.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I know.
And that doesn't seem appealing to a lot of people.
No, well, I agree with that, you know. I happen to like it, actually, and it's always, you know, in 2 weeks I might have it once, and I'm pretty good at it. You know, just sear it a little, put some marinades or whatever. But the truth is, there's a lot of options these days that people provide that you can use. It's really not difficult. So what we're doing with Meat Free Monday is just urging people to just try it one day, and because it will make some kind of a difference if enough people do it, or if the idea spreads. And you know, every week I'm hearing about, oh, my kid has just decided he wants to go vegetarian because he's a sportsman, and you know, he's decided that's better for him. It is a growing movement, you know.
Actually, in our National Geographic cafeteria in Washington, we have meat-free Mondays, and if you have a vegetarian lunch, you get a discount on that lunch.
You do?
I mean, maybe that's another way at it.
Yeah, I mean, I love that because, like I say, I'm from a time when you couldn't get anything. You know, literally, I remember driving down the motorway and thinking, oh, we'll stop for a snack, and going in, and it was like, you know, ham sandwiches, and ham sandwiches, you know. It was like, there's nothing for us here. And that actually was why Linda started the food company. She said, it'd be great, wouldn't it, if you just could be a bit where there was something good for us to eat. Yeah, so well, I'm very proud of you.
So was it hard to get other people to join this message in that video? I saw you've got Emma Stone and Woody Harrelson. I mean, are you still recruiting other people to try to take this message forward?
As I say, I know a lot of people who are either vegetarian. Woody, for instance, Woody Harrelson is very vegan.
Okay.
And I mean, you look, he's a strapping lad, you know, and he does all sorts of action pictures. He's very healthy, and he just happens to be super healthy. So he's a natural, and you know, I just asked him if he would do it. And Emma's a friend, and I like the idea that people will like the fact that she's a great actress, and if she says the message, she'll just get a bit more attention, you know. I meet a lot of people who sort of say, well, you know, I still eat meat, but I'm definitely, you know, eating less. And people that we call them meat reducers.
Okay, so
you know,
that's a step.
There are people who do that, yeah. My sort of ultimate theory is that you've got this beautiful little planet we talked about, and it's going to be overpopulated. It doesn't seem to be anywhere around that. So you've got to make the food go further. And it helps by not passing it through a cow.
I think one of the issues that's going to come up more and more is places like China, which used to have healthier eating habits, are now adopting some of the worst of Western eating habits, which is going to be really an unsustainable problem. And also more meat, more milk, all of those things.
Yeah, because it's made so attractive, you know. That's why we loved it growing up. And India is another. I remember seeing something with the environmental minister for India saying, we are entering the hole that you are just coming out of. And it's scary, you know, it's going to happen. Those big meat producers and those big companies that sell that lifestyle have fantastic advertising. I mean, I'm loving it till I see who it is at the end, I'm going, this is a great ad. I'm on your side. Oh.
Uh-oh, it's the meat advertisers.
And so you're going to be sucked in. But, you know, the trouble is, then you've got like massive obesity.
So you think some of the main advantages here are personal health, health of the planet, animal compassion. What am I leaving out?
Well, those are three pretty good ones. I'd go with those. I'm sure there are other reasons, but I think those are my main three.
So you're one of the most famous people in the world. You've been one of the most famous people in the world for a very long time. You could support so many causes and have your voice heard by a lot of people. Why this cause and why now?
Well, this is personal. You know, this is personal. And I do support a lot of other causes too. But this particular one, this is how I live. And I like the idea of this particular campaign because I can then say to people, just try it. When it's sort of suggesting, nobody's forcing anyone to do anything. But the idea is that, like, in your family, you will encourage recycling. And we just see on the news all this plastic stuff floating in the oceans and all sorts of stuff that our society is creating. So a mother or a parent will encourage their kids to recycle because it's just a good idea. And in the same vein, I'm saying, and along with that, you try one day meat-free, because that's another good idea. But I do support other things, but this particular thing it's personal to me and my family.
Yes. If you were me, what would you ask you?
Yeah. What do we think about National Geographic? I love National Geographic, and I've loved it since I was a kid. It's sort of always there, that yellow frame, and you know exactly what it is, and you know you're going to get great photos and great stories about the world, so it brings the world to you. And so I've always loved it anyway. But one particular issue I saw in the 60s had a woman, and she looked very proud, and she had a baby. And I saw that as a kind of Madonna thing, mother and child, and I could just, you know, sometimes you see pictures of mothers, you go, she's a good mother. You can just tell there's a bond, and it just affected me, that photo. And so I was inspired to write Lady Madonna, my song, from that photo.
That's amazing.
There's a good reason to like
that is amazing. Well, you know, one of the things we try to do at National Geographic actually relates very much to this, which is show people the world and show people, you know, the animals and the landscapes and the, you know, the way the planet is changing. And I know you're trying to address a lot of that in this campaign.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you realize that there are kids who've never seen a farm animal or a wild animal because they live in cities, and they'll see dogs, occasional cat or whatever, but you know, they just don't know about things like that. So I think it's kind of nice to tell them about it, and something like National Geographic tells them and shows them, and it makes it really obvious. You know, oh wow, these are wolves. You go, oh. And so I think inner city kids, I think that kind of helps to give you a feeling of what's out in the world. So I like that about it. It was always that for me.
Well, you know, I hear that from people all the time, how they would open the magazine and get a sense of the world that otherwise they never had, because, you know, lots of us didn't grow up traveling around the globe as kids. And so we got to see everything.
That's right. Yeah, I think that is one of the great things about it.
Well, Paul.
And great photography.
Well, and great photography. Yeah. Well, Paul, I just want to thank you so much for talking to us about your campaign and sharing your feelings about it.
Well, thank you very much. I'm honored to be in NG.
Well, thank you.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.